My name's Lucy Forbister and I'm a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu blue belt. Been training 3 years now. For those who don't actually know what Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is, everyone's heard of the UFC, right? This is like the easiest way to explain it, and it is the groundwork that people do in the UFC. So there's no striking. You get people in a submission. If it's a choke, they have to tap, otherwise they'll go unconscious. You can break their arm, their leg, or their foot, essentially. It's in the gi or the no gi, so it's in the pajamas with the belt, or it's just in like a rash guard and shorts. No gi is generally more popular for entertainment, but gi is for the older guys. No, gi is actually quite fun. I wanted to do this video because I've seen videos about people doing jiu-jitsu for self-defense. I can't comment from the experience of ever needing to use it. I'm lucky enough to be in that position. However, I wanted to go through today the reason why you should not do jiu-jitsu for self-defense, a number of other reasons that you should do jiu-jitsu. First got into BJJ because I'd heard someone had got a lot out of it. They really enjoyed it. I did sport in college, sport in uni, sport in school, and I never really found a sport. I did a number of sports in college. I only ever tried rowing in Durham University, and we weren't in the top team. So for me, I really like being consistent and actually mastering something rather than just being half-assed with it and not really getting to the skill level where you are really good. So then when I found jiu-jitsu, I was like, I'm going to try it, tried it, and then I got to the point where I did 18 matches in my first year at white belt in 2022. First comp May 2022, and then just 18 matches that whole year. Not so much at blue, and I've started to talk about competition. This is not about competition. However, started jiu-jitsu, really enjoyed it, and then started competing. Really helped give me some structure and stability around the time that my mental health wasn't great. So I can't lie that I did actually heavily rely on it when I wasn't feeling so good, but now I can go without it. It's not like an unhealthy coping mechanism, and a bit more of a balance, and I listen to my body a lot more rather than just training when I'm really super tired, because that's what I used to do at white belt. But a couple of things I wanted to go through that are benefits from training jiu-jitsu, specific moves that are shown that might help in the event of an attack. What we do in jiu-jitsu, in a jiu-jitsu class, is we learn a technique, constantly repeat that technique. It's a completely different story drilling the technique on someone with no resistance and then doing it in like live rolling when someone's resisting, and also someone might be stronger than you and someone knows what to do to stop that from happening. Obviously, men are stronger than women. What's the likelihood of them actually being bigger than you and stronger than you? If you're not a trained individual in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or any other martial art, the likelihood of you being able to implement the things, quick reels on Instagram that people are putting up, is going to be pretty low, in my opinion, and completely just misses out on all of the things training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu consistently, aside from self-defense aspect of it, actually brings to your life. Now, don't get me wrong, when I first started, I was in a pretty unstable mental place. I started with privates first because I didn't want to get upset and not go to training, so I made sure that I went to privates and then eventually went to class. Depending on the gym that you go to, it can be pretty male dominant if the gym is in like a small town. For me, what is so satisfying about jiu-jitsu is the growth aspect of it. As you know, I love psychology in college and uni. That's also what influenced me when I found out yoga and meditation were going to improve my mental health. Constantly wanted to read about it and get to know about it more so that I could improve my own mental well-being. Didn't even get high grades in school because that much drama going on outside of school that I couldn't concentrate. I was anxious and disconnected, and obviously you can't focus if that's the case. Now, when I take an interest in a subject, it's so satisfying learning things, and that applied on the jiu-jitsu mats. It's you learn a move. Once you're able to implement that in live rolling against a resisting human being, like, it's so satisfying. And I personally think that that's where the satisfaction comes from, aspect of growth, but at the same time, you still get humbled on a daily basis. Constantly gotta stay humble, but at the same time, it does build your confidence as well. When you get to purple belt, you have this new sense of confidence. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about. Purple belts become very attractive people because, I don't know, it's just a thing. You're growing confidence in yourself, and it's just that reward and going and stepping on the mats and just concentrating on a technique. And it's also the social aspect of it as well, because it's so complex. It's like, and it's a never-ending journey. It kind of influences you to be humble because it's like you will never know everything about jiu-jitsu, so you've kind of got to enjoy it. Otherwise, if you're someone who, because a lot of people actually can get disheartened, people who aren't that enthusiastic generally get frustrated when, you know, you don't really see much progress. And I do personally think that that changes with each belt level. Like, you don't won't see as much progress as what you do in white belt, because you can't distinguish the improvements as much, I don't think. From white to black belt, it's the same move executed very differently with more skill and precision. So as a white belt, you'll expend a lot of energy and it'll be a very sloppy move, as whereas at black belt, you'll expend like way less energy because you know how to put your body in that position easier than what a white belt does. General journey that you take, start coming once or twice per week. You start to enjoy it. You start coming 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. And then you end up competing as well if you have the balls to do that. I think it's addictive because it's just this never ending journey, and it teaches you to stay humble, and it's social and it's playful. Like my whole personality is playfulness, and just really enjoy it. In terms of the confidence as well and the learning that you do, that's why I think it's internal journey as much as it is about learning the skill or it being a form of physical activity. No sport that I've ever done before I feel has been this satisfying because of the technique, etc. So not for the faint-hearted. Like if you don't want people's sweat dripping into your mouth, or someone's hair in your mouth, or someone's ass to be in your face, then it's probably not for you. However, I'm going to say it's worth it. This is going to be short but sweet, but I just wanted to highlight some of the benefits that you have if you practice jiu-jitsu, and this is not even touching the surface of what it's actually like to train. Last but not least, of course, there's physical benefits, but I do think if you don't train weights or yoga alongside jiu-jitsu, a higher chance of risk of injury, rolling around on the floor, inverting, so like having your legs above your head in specific positions. If you're not flexible, or you have low back pain, or you're not very strong, there's weaknesses in your body, there is a higher chance of you getting injured. But I do think in the first year of being a white belt, your body ends up getting conditioned to the movements that you do in jiu-jitsu, and then as long as you're weight training and practicing yoga maybe at least once per week, like it doesn't have to be anything crazy, then your body is going to adapt to the sport, which then you'll have like less injuries. Of course, like injuries are not that common in training. It's more so like the biggest injuries probably in competition in people's knees, I would say. Generally, like the injuries that you get at training are only minor. They're never anything major. Like, I don't know, your finger might hurt. My finger was hurting. And the mental benefits as well. Like for me, back when my mental health wasn't great, it was 100% a form of escapism and stability, and the social aspect of it as well. You can just go and forget about all your problems and just train. And of course, the physical benefits. When I'm training a lot of jiu-jitsu, weight training and practicing yoga, that's when like my body is in peak condition, and I feel so good because it's like I couldn't eat the amount of calories that I'm burning, so I feel really good. And obviously when I'm not training as much jiu-jitsu, that's when I tend to put a little bit more weight on. It's good for you physically, and the positions that you get in jiu-jitsu, like you need to be able to squat, you need to be able to, like your hips need to be open, your hamstrings ideally shouldn't be tight, you need to be able to invert, so like your spine needs to be flexible, and all of that also under force, because you're going against a resistant human being that's using their strength against you. So you generally have to be able to move pretty well if you want to practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The mental and physical benefits are like, who doesn't want to be able to choke someone out or break their arm or foot? So yeah, this is just a video on some of the benefits that I found as a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because I wanted to sway away from the idea that we need to defend ourselves all the time. I don't train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for self-defense, although that obviously is handy as a female solo traveler. I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because of the amount of enjoyment that it brings me, and the satisfaction and the character building, and I love competing, I love challenging myself. It influences you to do those hard things. Like stepping on the mats is scary. It's more of, I'd say, a mental battle than a physical one, because you have to be a certain type of person that would step on the mats, and I think if you can control your emotions and how you feel and how you perform in a jiu-jitsu competition, then I think you're up there with like the top people who just grab life by the balls and do scary things. Because the number of things that I've done in my life, like go to Ibiza for the season, fly across the other side of the world to Bali in Australia after COVID by myself. What else have I done? Started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a male-dominated sport, done Camp America. All those things that potentially made me a little bit nervous are the best things that I've ever done in my life. You've got to do things that make you feel nervous. Are usually the best things that you ever do in your life. life. So if you're thinking about joining a jiu-jitsu gym, just hit me up if you have any questions or you want to know where to train. I've trained a lot of places in England and I've traveled all over the world as well, which is the beauty of it. Like I've trained in Australia, Bali, Portugal. Where the fuck else have I trained? Like you can train in jiu-jitsu gyms all over the world, and that's the beauty of it as well. Like you meet so many people from all over the world because you train, which is sick. So jiu-jitsu or self-defense being a negative thing because we need to protect ourselves, and actually it's very playful, character developing, develops your confidence, and who doesn't want to be a badass ninja and be able to roll around and maybe potentially choke someone out or break their arm if you need to. Hopefully that'll never happen. Also, guys are intimidated when you can beat them up. It's an issue. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.